All right, so today we're gonna learn how to open up a sterile pack. So what I'll need everyone to have is saline, and put that off to the side, a blade that is still in its casing, suture material that's also in the casing, a pair of sterile gloves, which we will fit all of you for, and then your sterile kits. So sterile kits, you can touch anything on the outside. Oftentimes they come already pre-wrapped in some plastic. You can take it out of the plastic and touch all the outside because what's sterile is on the inside. So when we open a sterile kit, the first thing we want to do is open the sterile kit away from us. So if you notice that it's facing you and you're going to be taking this, that's wrong. So you want it to be turned away from you. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and pull away from me. Second two things I'm going to do is pull to the sides. So one side, the other side, and then the last one, I'm going to go ahead and pull it towards me. When I'm doing this, you can see it's very off-angled, right? So typically what I do then is just reach under the drapes, or even the outer inch of the entire drape is not considered sterile, so you can even grab the corners and rotate it so it's nice and neat on your table. The same thing over here, I'll go ahead and move that. Okay, so for the next part of this, when we start opening up all of our sterile gloves and we start touching all of the stuff inside of the sterile field, you want to make sure that your sleeves are rolled up, your watches are off, your rings are off. For the purpose of the demo, I'm leaving my ring on though, but no jewelry on your hands or your wrist. All right, so continuing on, so we now opened up our sterile field. Any supplies that you have in packaging that you need on sterile field, you want to put onto the sterile field before you glove yourself. So for instance, suture, if we're going to be using this for suturing, I'm going to go ahead and come over to my sterile field. As you can see, the areas that open, I'm going to go ahead and peel those open without touching what's inside, and slowly drop them into the bucket, into the sterile field. The other thing I'm going to want to do is loosen up the cap to the saline. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put our gloves on. So when I open up the gloves, you can touch anything in here. It's not a problem. This is all not sterile on the outside, so you can go ahead and put that in the garbage. Next thing you're going to want to do is open this. And as you can see, when I open it, it's going to kind of flap back down. So what I want to do is put a crease the opposite way of where that central crease was. The same thing now I'm going to open up in the middle. And the same thing applies for these. As you can see, if I try and lift these two ends, they're just going to flop back. So what I want to do is go ahead and pinch them to make them stay. Now this entire part here is not sterile, so you can touch it. It's not a problem. What you don't want to touch with your bare hands is the inside. So the next part, I'm going to go ahead and make sure all this is lifted. As you can see, when I peeled up, the glove was sticking a little bit, so I just used my fingers on this side and kind of rolled it so that the glove falls down. Open this up. You want your gloves to kind of stay here in the middle. If you don't peel them down, they'll end up stuck to this side. Just like on my sterile field, this 1-inch border on the outer edge is not sterile. So you can use your creases as your kind of mark. So you can touch here, but not touch in the middle. Typically, you are supposed to glove your dominant hand first. I do that backwards. So when I demonstrate for you guys, you will see me glove my non-dominant hand first, but typically you're supposed to glove your dominant hand first. To put your first glove on, you want to grab the glove on this end. As you can see, the glove is folded down, so all this in here is not sterile. Okay, so you can touch that. And so this is, you want to grab in here, thumb and forefinger, and that's where you're going to be sticking your hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this with my thumb and forefinger. I'm going to put my hand inside here. You can see my fingers are like this. And I'm going to pull this up. Okay, I'm still touching the inside of that, so it's still folded, you can see. And glove is on. Now, don't touch this yet because it's now rolled on the sterile part, so we'll fix that once we're good. With our non-gloved hand, we're going to take that cap off. With our gloved hand, we're going to come over to our field and we're going to take out all of our sterile parts. Keeping in mind, you don't want to go towards that border where it's not sterile. So I usually move this there, put all these over here. Okay. Now, again, with my non-gloved hand, don't come across like this over a sterile field. You're going to want to walk, or you can have the saline placed on this side to start. You're going to go ahead and pour some liquid in there for irrigation. Okay. Now we can go ahead and get our second glove on. So we're going to come over here. For the second glove, you can touch it wherever to start, but what you don't want to do is touch it here when you're putting it on your hand, because now you're just going to touch your non-sterile hand to your this sterile hand. So for this one, you're actually going to come up under here, and you're going to stick these 4 fingers underneath the cuff of the glove. Use your thumb to kind of peel it back a little bit. Without touching this hand to this hand, you're going to go ahead and stick these fingers inside of that. And you can see how I'm holding that. Pull this up. Rotate your wrists if you have to. You can see I'm still underneath, so I'm not touching, I'm only touching the sterile part, and let go. So now my gloves are on. For this, if you want, you can grab the part that's sterile and roll it up. Okay, so now my gloves are on. Now, say you're, like my pinky's a little off, you want to adjust, now's the time to adjust. And that's it.